passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on, so Nuoff in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's allowed to have fun. Yeah, it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching. The Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
Haven't got it!
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still slot chopper. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it! Big Barry!
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the JP Broadcasting Network for the second of, I believe it's 4, maybe 5 races we have going on today, just depending on where things are at. We're still waiting on confirmation for triple bypass layer today. But for now, we are going to jump into, from Silverstone, we go to Austria for the iFormula Season 7 F3 Series. That's not actually running F3 cars anymore. We'll jump into that here in a few minutes. But this is the Red Bull Ring. My name is Bradley Dalton. I am going to be joined behind the cams and as the assistant and, of course, the boss man here at JP Broadcasting Network, Mr. James Parfitt himself. But we are at a track that is my personal favorite Formula One track that exists. And I'm not just saying it because I'm a Red Bull fan, but it is the Red Bull Ring, that classic, massive Red Bull. The hills are alive with the sound of Super Formula Light engines on a damp Red Bull Ring. James, how are you doing, sir?
I am very well. Thank you very much, young sir. I'm very good. Second, as you say, of 4, I believe. 4, I think it is. So it should be a good one. I think the fact that we swapped over to the Super Formula Lights, pretty much most F3 leagues are doing that situation as well. And we're going to have some very interesting racing, I think, at the Red Bull Ring in the rain. That spray is going to be horrendous for some of these guys. So it's going to be an interesting one for all of them and see how they get on. But yeah, really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, of course, this is round 8 of 12 here. We're riding on board with Alexander Rivera here during the back end of qualifying. You can see the times are a little spread out through the field with Mr. Marshall there at a 1:39.888. Back in the back, Nick Marshall, but up in the lead, it is Christian Glamseeder at a 1:33.289. And of course, if you look at the standings, no surprise there, Christian Glamseeder leading the pro class at 208 points with Mackenzie Roon in second place at 173, and then Mariam Barbarou in third place at 165 with Ian Lance right on the heels at 163. Looking at the AM drivers, there is Rachel Jimenez. Mr. Colisi, you might want to keep the car pointing forward as we go. Rachel Jimenez, who is in first place with 156 points. Mateus Balcar at 147. And Alexander Shana at 142 with Anthony Serrano at 141 points. That's the top 4 of each class. Of course, iFormulaLeague.com/F3 standings. You can see all of the points all the way through. There's 12 drivers in the pro, 14 in the AM that have been classified here through 8 of 12 rounds. And James, I tell you what, we watched the first race here on the JP Broadcasting Network was soaking wet GT3s at Silverstone, but this is a transitioning track. Austria is drying out. We're expecting rain near the end of the session. There's scattered showers around on the weather radar, but we're going to see a unique challenge here, I think.
Yeah, we definitely are. I think with the dry line that's starting to appear, you can see here there's a big puddle, though, coming out the final turn. So it's a decision. Do you take dries, which really you probably need to, as most of the track, it has got a line on, but what's it going to be like when we go into the race? Is it still going to be the same kind of thing? Is there still going to be a dry line, which some of these drivers may capitalize on using the dry tires?
Yeah, I've been watching testing throughout the time since rain announced and everybody got to get on and test rain. And the transitioning track is truly the trickiest. Because here's the thing with the wet tires and the way iRacing has made them. Those wet tires can scrub out into dry tires. You can see what we've seen in real life Formula Series, where those wet treaded tires, the tread will wear off as it goes and everything will dry out and you'll end up with a weird semi-slick that half the tire is going to be flat and the other half is going to have a little bit of tread on the corners. And it's going to make for interesting racing to see how these drivers transition through that, because we see a racing line on the track when we were riding on board. There was a racing line there. But then we're going to go and see things, mix up near the end. So if you're a driver, James, what do you do?
I don't know. Look at that puddle on the last corner. Oh, it's all the way across the track. You go through it to get to the dry line on the other side. So, yeah, this could be an interesting one. I think it's going to see whether or not that puddle develops that dry line. But the grid is ready for you, dear sir, there.
Yeah, looking at our grid and who's coming up, it's Christian Glameseater in pole position, no surprise, with Patrick Mitrovic in P2, Marion Barbaru in P3, Alexander Cinco in 4th place there, Jack Clark in P5, Alexander Riviera in P6, Elanio in P7, Robert Ridgway in 8th, Alex Hinchcliffe, Rachel Jimenez, Ian Lance, Mackenzie Roon, Adrian Colaseed, Anthony Serrano, Nick Marshall, Scott Barton, Mateus Balcar, and Victor Solano. And now we go into that 5-minute warm-up session here at the Red Bull Ring. This is going to give the drivers time to go around, see how the lines are developing. There's still a bit of spray on the cars coming off on that dry line, on that racing line. And then, of course, this will give them time to set up for their pit stops because, of course, we do always expect one pit stop halfway through.
Yeah, we do. That's going to be the vitally important one. Whether or not they're going to be able to pit is going to be how they work it out in conjunction with each other. You know, you are going to have spray, and I'm just trying to show you what that looks like. I'm going to try and find two people on the track near enough together. We might be able to have a look and see what the spray situation is. As we can see, Patrick Mitrovic there, who is behind him, Rachel Jimenez. So that is Rachel's spray view, and as you can see, can't see a lot. And I think going forward, they've got to make a choice. Do they go into that, or do they not and just hang back and hope the other person makes a mistake in front?
Yeah, I think if you're a driver, your best option is going to be to just watch your own race and think about what you're doing. There's no sense in them doing anything crazy risky and compromising their race early on for the sake of getting past someone, because this is 36 laps around this track. It's going to be a fairly long race, James. 36 laps, of course, typically real life they run longer, but 36 laps won't take very long, but for the drivers, there's a lot of laps to tick down.
Yeah, it is, and you've got to assess what the best situation will be for you. For me personally, you know, just follow him and see how you get on and see if you're able to get there. It looks like Mitrovic has unfortunately had a bit of a ta-ta-ta with himself, and that is coming off the dry line into the wet line, and unfortunately that is the puddle on the final corner, which is the one we've spoken about, which could cause problems if they get it wrong. We've got a couple of people trying test starts to see how they get on and whether or not they get it away. Don't forget, guys, if you are here, you can say hello. Don't forget, like, subscribe, turn on the bells and do all that other fancy jazz, because we've got IGP coming up later on this evening. That goes off at 9:20, so in about 5 hours time you'll be able to watch the IGP at Road America. They're also in the Super Formula Lights, so that's going to be very interesting to see whether or not that is going to be a rain-soaked track or it's going to be a dry one on that one. But they generally will field of 60 cars, so if you want some great racing coming up, you can have a look. And also we're just waiting for final confirmation on the triple bypass, whether or not we've got the we're covering a triple bypass race later on. So if you're a bit of a night owl, you can tune in for that one.
Yeah, and of course, if you're in the U.S., it's going to be decent-ish times for you. Some mid-afternoon racing, of course, no Formula on. Maybe NASCAR just isn't your thing, so, you know, IGP would be good for you. And then, of course, you know, tonight, NASCAR, it'll be me and James all the way throughout here, taking you through your Sunday afternoon, evening, midnight hour, Monday-ish morning, depending on how you feel. So stay tuned to JP Broadcasting. Lots of fun coming through. We're kind of just watching here at the moment. Drivers go around. This is Alex Hinchcliffe that we're riding on board with. And again, the warm-up, the drivers are just trying to pick the line. They're trying to see how things are. You can see now Alec is going into the pits, just trying to see how the grip is as we go down into the pit lane. Did he hit the pit limiter? I think he got just on the pit limiter right at the end.
Yeah, just, I think, for him as well. And for Marion Barbaru, let's see how he can get on here. Well, not very well. I wouldn't recommend doing that, as we did see somebody get dug in to the gravel earlier on in the GT3s. There was somebody stuck in the gravel, couldn't get out whatsoever.
Yeah, the fun thing that I'm going to see with this is how the drivers handle any off-track excursions, especially in this intermittent conditions. If they get on the grass, it's a bad day for anyone involved. Grass in iRacing is like ice, James, as you and me both know from personal experience and professional experience. The grass is ice, and if you mess up, you time it wrong, you get over, it's a bad day. We've got more showers coming in, more sprinkles here as we ride on board with Alexander Rivera. So any dry line that was there, it's going to start to slowly work away there in that turn 3 section, and we can see just light sprinkles throughout the track. That should go away. It's intermittent showers in the area on the radar, but as we get set up here, I'm really curious to see what Scott Barton can do there against Christian Glamsteer, because Scott Barton is going to be on the drier side of the track.
Yeah, he is. You can see the grid on your screen with Glamseater on pole, then Barton second, Rivera third, Colaseed fourth, Room fifth, Barbiero in sixth, Iliano in seventh, Ridgway eighth, Lance in ninth, Serrano 10th, Victor Solano in 11th, and Balcar rounded out the top 12. On from that, Jimenez, Hinchcliffe, Cinco, Mitrix, Marshall, and Clark is the final spot. But how are these guys going to get these cars off the line without spinning them up in a serious threat here? WA Broadcasting Saturdays, I have to miss daughter is in the immediate care. Alex Shana. Hey Alex, how are you? I hope your daughter's well, mate. I hope it's not serious. Hope she's okay. And everything works out all right for you there, young sir. But sending love from us up here in the booth.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully everything's okay there, and still glad you're able to tune in and hang out with us here, Alex Shana, as we get ready to go. The green is called. We are underway here in the iFormula F3 League that's running Super Formula Lights. We're away side by side. Christian Glamsteer, Scott Barton. There's a little bit of chaos in the back of the grid, but as we see Christian Glamsteer with a great takeoff there, now we check out with Iliano here, who is trying to hold on through in for that P5 position. We still have action. Look at the spray kicking up here, that light shower during warm-up, affecting things greatly. We ride on board with Scott Barton. You can see just the difference. You can't see a thing in front of you in these cars. So as we hit this fun turn 3, that's where the craziness is going to happen. There was a little bit of chaos back in the back with Adrian Colaseed. Here we go side by side through a sketchy corner. Anthony Serrano trying to get things moving and around. Anthony Serrano doing well to keep the car on the track, but it does look like we had some calamity off the race start, James.
Yeah, it looks like Adrian Colaseed has basically just spun the car up here. You can see the drop of the green lights. He puts the gas down too much, and unfortunately for Adrian Colaseed, the backside just links up, and then around he goes and into the wall. Not an ideal scenario, but for him, well, he's going to have to keep going again, isn't he? Just keep fighting away as Barton and Alexander Rivera. And there we've lost Glamseater, which is a bit of a surprise as well. What has happened to Christian? He went off track. Did Christian Glamseater coming down into Schlossgold, just got it all a little bit wrong, and now he's on the gravel. Can he get out? That's going to be the question, and he does get out cleanly, as it looks like Solano has also had a bit of a moment as well. But at the moment, it is Rivera and Scott Barton, your top two here on the racetrack.
Yeah, the transitioning track conditions starting to catch people off guard early on, I believe, and just showing the challenge and the trickiness that you have with this wet weather. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I will say it until the end of existence. Rain is the ultimate equalizer in any race series. You get some rain on the track, and you truly get to see some difference, because here's the thing. The rain is going to make that rubbered racing line slick. So the drivers are going to have to decide what they're going to do here as we ride on board with Mackenzie Roon, who's looking up the inside of Iliano here and is going to try to take the line going through, avoid that curb on the outside. Hard braking here, side by side. And where do they come out? Well, it looks like at the moment it is Mackenzie Roon who is going to get the jump there.
Yeah, Roon went round the outside, and now it's going to be Glamseater's try. If he's going to try the outside, coming down the hill into Schlossgold, on board with him now, and he is moving. There's Roon, and he's going to try. Is he the outside of Mackenzie Roon as well? Who's got the slicks? Who's got the rain tyres? Well, currently at the moment, we cannot show you that information as we're just waiting for updates to come through, but I can guarantee most of these, I would have thought, should be on rain tyres, because if you're not, you could be in deep trouble.
I'm pretty sure everyone is on rain tires, just from the little bit of above shots that we've seen and the starts and different things. I don't see anyone who would be on slicks. However, with some of the pace difference, I kind of wonder. I don't think the track's dried up enough right now to make these Super Formula lights work on slicks as we go through. Checking in with Christian Glameseeder, who was our pole setter, is down in fourth after a little bit of an off there in turn 4, 3, depends on how you call your track corners here at Austria. Austria is a weird track for that, but down the main straight, and someone spun in the background.
Anthony Serrano got loose in the background. He's gone round. Now Glameseeder is side by side with Barbarero. Glameseeder does go through as he's going to set on his way after Scott Barton. Mackenzie Roon also trying to go past Barbarero as well, and Roon has got through, but Roon is the sandwich in the middle with Barbarero getting 2 lots of spray sprayed in his face, and he literally cannot see a single bean. Just a little warning light that's on the back of Roon's car that tells him he's there. Up into Remus we go, the right-hander up over the little short crest down into Slosh Gold here. And what's happening with Ian Lance and Robert Ridgway? Well, they're side by side and Ridgway's on the outside.
Yeah, Ridgway on the outside, Ian Lance on the inside. It's a drag race down into the next corner, downhill braking zone coming up, and that is where things get tricky. We saw it catch Christian Glameseeder out, and if it could catch Christian Glameseeder out, well, I think it could catch anybody out here. But as we go through that Ridgway Racing setup number 17, as I said, it could catch anybody out, and he runs wide there, and Mr. Ridgway runs off the track, is going to have to settle back in behind Eliano into P8 here. And James, it's kind of showing pretty tricky. And as Mr. Shana said in the YouTube chat, it's a crazy mix-up of the field pretty early on.
Yeah, it is. Ridgway's getting it a little bit wrong. He's trying a little bit too hard here. Nick Marshall looks like he's unfortunately had a bit of a horrendous evening so far. Solano's crashed. Clark's had a moment. Balcar's had a moment. And that is the 24 machine in front of us. That is Ian Lance in that Ferrari liveried machine. Great looking car, mind you, but that puddle's not going to help as he goes and gets overtaken by Iliano. And it looks like Jimenez has unfortunately spun. I can guarantee that's probably coming out the last corner, and there might just have been a curb involved in it. This is coming around the final corner, or all on our own.
It might have been the inside curb a little bit, hard to tell, but I wouldn't be surprised there. Side by side, Ian Lance and Robert Ridgway here continuing to go down that Ferrari-powered Super Formula Light going down through. And of course, they're not Ferrari-powered, but hey, it's a Ferrari livery. I can't avoid saying it. And as we go through, Robert Ridgway, Ian Lance keeping things side by side through. And again, it's a drag race into the downhill braking zone of turn 3/4. I'm going to call it turn 3 because turn 2 is the kink on the second straight, and I don't count it. So turn 3, downhill braking. Ridgway's on the outside. We saw last lap, Robert Ridgway went a bit wide here, and you can see he's holding on to it on the curb, which you probably don't want to do, James.
No, he's trying to accelerate coming out of the corner. The problem is there's a difference between control on your throttle where you're just edging it into power rather than slamming it. And what we mean is slamming it is just hitting full, the foot full to the floor. And Ridgway's just got to learn to feather that throttle in coming out of Slosh Gold, because he's losing most of his time there, and he's just got to make sure he can feather it in, as it looks like Cinco has just passed at Mitrovic. Just about, there you go, job done for him. Nick Marshall and Balcar are having a horrendous time. We won't impound their misery by looking anymore, but now Ridgway comes out of the final corner with Ian Lance in front, and this is the battle for 7th place at the moment.
Yep, slipstreaming down the main straight, what little main straight you have here, and then up into turn 1, hard braking and trying to get going. Anthony Serrano is now down into P14 as well. That Ferrari goes a bit wide there.
Slow down and shut up.
Yeah, I would imagine so. We'll see what he can do to try to keep things going. It looks like maybe not a slowdown, surprisingly, which if that's the case, then hey, iRacing, you need to look at your track limits definitions. We go around again side by side. So Super Formula Lights in a damp light rain track condition is producing some good racing here in the iFormula League.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he got away with that one. I think he's probably trying to edge it off as he comes, and to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to take this corner very, very slowly, which he did do. Possibly not quite that slow. Don't Don't spin the tyres because you won't get out. And lucky enough, he didn't. Solano has got Patrick Mitrovic right behind him coming down into that turn 4 to Schlossgold. And as well, Mitrovic almost gets it stopped. Does get it stopped, mind you, but loses time in the process.
Yeah, it's the damp conditions, the transitioning conditions are proving a little tricky for the drivers. Of course, closer to the end of this race, we are expecting a bit more rain to hit. So it'll get a bit more damp, a bit more heavy, but it looks like maybe the weather prediction team was wrong because I already see a bit more rain coming through. Christian Glamseeder, look at the pace difference, a 136.6 versus a 136.9 on Alexander Rivera, but Scott Barton ran a 139 last lap. So huge pace difference there for Christian Glamseeder, who is trying to catch back up to get into the lead. Patrick Mitrovic here we're looking at in P11 going through. Scott Barton is trying to defend from Mackenzie Roon as we go down into turn 2 here. And does Scott Barton get away with it on the outside? Shuts the corner just enough, leaving some space, but has that outside line, which is always going to be the faster line around. And Mackenzie Roon has to settle back in here into P4, but Scott Barton now needs to fight and block and defend the slipstream.
Yeah, he's going to have to try and find a way. He's down in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen there is Scott. You can see him driving hard on his machine, that Stial machine. Aren't they removers, I think? Aren't they a moving company? Or is that just something I'm completely thinking differently about?
I want to say yes, however, I don't say it with confidence. So we'll call it 50-50 there, James. I'm not sure.
Okay, no worries. Well, there we go. He's battling away. He's got Glamseeder behind him, keeping him behind him. Yeah, so that's great for him. But how long can he keep the Get Good Racing American? Well, we're going to find out, and it's not going to be very long as he goes and sweeps around the outside as Mackenzie Roon. Job done for him, so well done for him. No, they're a tool company, actually, so my bad. Sorry.
Okay.
Ian Lance has unfortunately done this. He's got into Schlossgold, locked up. Now he's on the gravel. Don't spin it. Don't spin it. Don't stop it either. He did manage to keep it going, but then he goes off track again very, very shortly, not long after, and he does this. Looks like down into the same corner. Cannot get that car stopped. And Schlossgold is not his friend because it's got lots of gravel, and there we go. Beached, stuck, not going anywhere. Didn't quite make it off to the concrete on the left-hand side. So unfortunately for Ian Lance, back to the pits he goes. But one of the joys of being on the gravel in the rain.
Yeah, I can't say Ian Lance didn't give it his best shot. However, he definitely did not give it his best shot there. And the gravel, as we learned earlier this morning, James, is not kind to anyone if you get stuck there. We're watching, this is Rachel Jimenez, who is trying to get past Mitrovic here, around up into turn 2, down the inside. That looked like somebody who was going a bit off track ahead, but Rachel Jimenez up the inside there, and then you've got Serrano and Cinco battling just ahead. So plenty of good battles developing, but it also is a matter of survival. We're lap 7 of 36 here, James. Everybody just wants to make their way through to the end.
Yeah, you've got to. That's the thing. And what happened here? I believe there was a big old stop. Oh, and that happened. And unfortunately, that's Cinco's front wing gone.
Yeah, he tried to keep it going, but Cinco locked up the tires there, and unfortunately, if you lock up the tires, you're essentially Bambi on ice, to steal one of your favorite sayings, James. There's nothing you can do, and now Cinco's in a lot more trouble because no front wing, no downforce here, and you are just going to be pounced on. You've got to pit in. You're going to have to pit. Yes. Pit strategy is going to be completely messed up. And James, do you know what pit strategy should be around here? Probably pitting about halfway through, I would imagine.
It's normally halfway through, but obviously they're on wets. And if the track stays wet, they might just get away with they're keeping hold of the tyres till the very end, as long as they're looking for the rain spots to keep them going. If they start developing a dry line, well, then you've got to wait, and then you're waiting and waiting and waiting till that dry line is fully in, and then once it's in, you would go and make that swap over. But what you don't want to do is go into wets just as the dry line starts developing, and then you've got to go in again to get your dry tyres on. So it's a choice. They either sit and hold and see if the rain stops, which at the moment it doesn't look like it is, and we can see that on board with Rachel Jimenez. You can see the rain is just coming down, smashing her into the face, and she's probably sat on a wet puddle about now. So I would probably leave this until as late as physically possible.
Yeah, I was just looking back at the Discord server because one of the drivers posted the screenshot of the radar. That was Christian Glamseeder, back in the lead now, posted a photo of the radar, and it's just dots and dots of rain off and on. So I don't think we're going to see slicks come out anytime soon. And if we do, I'll be surprised. It's someone who's a lot braver than me.
Yeah, I don't think anybody, I tell you what, if anybody takes the chance, there is now crazy. They are now at 75% fuel load maximum, which is 29 laps worth of fuel tank. So window is technically open, so he should be able to make it there as well. Thank you, Alex, for that one. If we can, yeah, at least we know what's going on as we're in the JPS. I love the JPS livery of Victor Solano. It looks amazing.
You and me both. It's absolutely nice. This is the thing with the Super Formula lights. Everyone seems to like them a lot more than the F3 cars. It seems like everyone's responded very, very well to the Super Formula lights being out, and they have all transitioned over, a lot of leagues have. And I'm not surprised because it just seems to have more support, seems to be a more fun car to drive, and it seems to be a more realistic car to drive. Honestly, it seems to be something that a lot of these drivers have latched onto and are able to take advantage of. Man, look at the spray on board with Alexander Rivera there on the back of Barbaru, trying to get going and get good is Marion Barbaru.
Yeah, I think the thing is, if they brought this car out and didn't put it in the rain, I don't think it would be as popular as it is. But the fact that they brought it out, no. Ooh. Give him room, Marion, give him room. He had you coming out there, give him room as Glanceter goes back into pole. Am I missing something? Have I missed something here? How did Glanceter get back into pole?
I don't know. I missed that as well. I was going to ask you the same question in just a moment.
No, well, this is Scott Barton. He goes round first. There's Mackenzie Roon. That's how he ended up there, and Barton goes round, and also Rivera goes round. So basically it was like parting of the Red Sea from Jesus there for Christian Glanceter, because the front four of Rivera went round, Barton went round, and Mackenzie Roon, you're in a puddle, you're aquaplaning all day, baby, all day. And that is exactly what happened to Rivera, exactly what happened to Barton, and this is exactly what happened to Roon. And it looked like they all just decided to give the lead back to the Norwegian of Christian Glanceter. So there we go, that's how it all ended up swapping around.
Yeah, Christian Glanceter is just probably looking and saying, like, thank you very much, I'll take the positions. Of course, Glanceter is running obnoxious pace and has pulled that 15-second gap out. Majority of it on pace alone. He's ran a 136.95 on the last lap. Alexander Rivera ran a 137.53, and everybody else in the field is running 139. So I don't know what Christian Glanceter has done to have such a pace difference, but I mean, it's insane. Is this just the Norwegian coming out, or what is this, James? What is it that has given Christian Glanceter such pace advantage?
Do you know, this is not one of these tracks where you can go out and just be good. You've got to practice, and the rain itself is practice, practice, practice. 139.14 for Glanceter, 137.51 for Rivera. So Rivera is picking up 2 seconds pace at the moment. But I think you've just got to go and make sure you're practicing and practicing and practicing. Practice the rain, practice the dry, practice half rain, dry rain, rain, whatever this is. I don't really care. Get out and practice, because that will make all the difference.
Yeah, that is the biggest thing. And, you know, you look at Austria on the track map in the top right corner of your screen, and you look at it and you say, you know, It's 10 corners. It can't be that bad. But the thing that you don't think about is it's very tricky 10 corners. You've got a very, very flowing middle sector, if you even want to call it a middle sector. It's more like just that back half of the track. You've got the 2 downhill hard right angles. You've got a very, very tight turn 2 and turn 3. And you've got an uphill 90-degree turn 1. So this track, while on paper you look at it and you go, oh, well, that's a simple track to run. It should be simple. It can't be that bad to run. This track gets very, very tricky, very, very quick. We're watching Alexander Riviera here, who is just continuing to try to put in laps and move things forward and is trying to catch up to Christian Glamseeder, but the gap continues to open up. It's over 15 seconds still. It was down a little bit at one point, but Christian Glamseeder responding with a 1:36.675. Let's see what Rivera does as he comes across the line any second now. Comes across the line. Gap is now under 15 seconds, and that lap was a 1:36.93. So even then, Christian Glamseeder up by 0.3 of a second. Barbarou's losing time. Barton's losing time. And James, I think, as it's been for a majority of this iFormula season, Christian Glamseeder is going to go ahead and just write the check and just needs to cash it to the end.
Yeah, he is. He's got this pretty much done and dusted. If he can just cope with this little piece here to make sure that they're all doing a stellar job and just keeping it on track. And Glamseeder's got to do the same. Don't do anything silly. Don't do anything risky. Just drive, brake, drive, brake, drive and brake, and get to the end. Let the others do the risky moves. They're the one that's got to catch you, remember. It's not your job to try and break any further away. They've got to try and catch you up. Yours is just to consistently hit the 135, 136s. Jobs are good, and Mackenzie Roon has just been handed a place by, I believe that was Serrano. Whether or not he's got that back, he just about managed to hold on to it. Quite interested to see how he managed to hold on to it, though, mind you, because it looked like he was off the side of the circuit.
Yeah, I was watching that happen and really thought it was just done and dusted and over. And now as we go, the sun's out, things should start to transition. We should start to see some pace pick up and some battles close up. Mackenzie Roon side by side here with Serrano around. Serrano is the driver on the inside there. Mackenzie Roon is the driver on the outside. In that America livery, Get Good Sim Racing, goes on the curb. Very, very brave move. Hits the puddle. You see the car get a little wiggly, but there on the inside, you see that Anthony Serrano has to give way there for Mackenzie Roon, as Mackenzie Roon just hangs around the outside, keeps the throttle into it, and Serrano backs out, is going to stick behind here in the spray as we go down in the final 2 corners. Everybody keeps it together, a little wiggle of the car as they hit the puddle going downhill, and now as we, I almost spoke too soon. Anthony Serrano spins it out there. Final corner, the puddle is not your friend, my friend, and now we need to just see how this keeps going. Quick replay here, James.
Yeah, look at the puddle. Bang. There's one part of it. Adios, senorita. Around he goes. And unfortunately for Serrano, good night. And now we've got a very spread out field here.
Yeah, the closest battle that I see on track right now is going to be Serrano and Solano. We'll see how often I can mix those names up.
Oh,
but Serrano...
every time, bud. Every time. Welcome in, because it literally, that is what we do every single week when we get Solano and Serrano next to each other on circuit.
Yeah, and I am showing that Cinco is having a bad day, Hinchcliffe is having a bad day. I'm just kind of looking at the timing screen. It looks like something's happened with Cinco, something's happened with Hinchcliffe. So while the field's spread out, some people are having a bad day. Scott Barton getting ahead of Barbarou here out of nowhere, so I don't know what's happened there. There's a big slide from Serrano. That's going to open the door for Solano. So as soon as we say things are spread out, things get very, very clobbered together. And Solano is now ahead of Serrano going into the middle part of the track. And this is the battle for P8 opening up very, very, very quickly.
Yeah, it's very interesting how one move can then make one move can make a mistake that can then bring others in, because we were sat here a few minutes ago and there was literally almost nothing happening, and now we've got Barton, Barbarou and Ilianu not far apart, and it just all stems from one thing after another, and that's it. There's a catalyst here, isn't there, as Barbarou just goes up the insides of Barton.
Yeah, all of a sudden we go from no battles to a three-way battle. And for those of you watching at home wondering how we decide what's a close battle and what isn't, it's on your screen there. If you look at the timing table to the left, if you see orange, it's a very close battle. If you see yellow, they're within striking distance. So if you're wondering what we're looking at, that is precisely what we look at here. Scott Barton around the inside and Iliano on the outside. Iliano thought about a switchback. Wasn't close enough to make it stick. And sorry, that is Barbaru and Iliano going through. And Barton, wow. I am struggling with drivers' names today, even with these liveries, super formulas, different car setup than what we got used to for the first half of the season. And Iliano there in the Logitech is just sitting back in that third spot of this battle. Ridgeway starting to catch up, so we might go from no battles to about halfway through this race, a four-way battle for P3, James.
Yeah, we could soon. Barbaru, Barton, Iliano, and if Ridgeway can get there, he'll be close enough as well. Cinco was having a battle with Jack Clark, but I think Jack's just taken an excursion off the side of the circuit. He has, and that will put us back up front with this Barbaru battle, who's trying to escape away from Barton and Iliano. Iliano trying to catch Barton as they go into turn one, and we'll just play that one by ear and see how they get on.
Yeah, it's starting to lightly rain again. Little pocket of showers moving back in. And look at this on board with Iliano. Iliano cannot see a thing in front. And this truly tests your track knowledge as a driver. What are you comfortable with? How familiar are you with this track? He peels off to the inside here, looking side by side in the uphill of turn two. Very sharp right-hander. Gets a little bit on the curve. The car does not like the answer there for the curb. And around goes Iliano, holding on to it, but still Scott Barton holds on to fourth place, and that's opened up the door for Barbaru to say sayonara, see ya, adios, I want no part of your battle.
Yeah, he's just going to escape, isn't he? He's 1.7 down the road. It doesn't really need to get involved in anything now. Just make a run for it as best as he possibly can, and that is going to be the best thing to do for him. He's just got to escape, run, and hope for the best.
And now you've got Ridgeway getting in the mix, because as these two battle, they're going to slow down. They're going to open it up for Ridgeway behind to get involved. But look at some of these spread out gaps. Christian Glamseater 20 seconds ahead of Rivera, who is trying to chase him down, but not doing a very, very competitive job. Solano is 28 seconds off behind Ridgeway behind this battle. There's some big gaps opening up, and remember, this is just about a minute and a half lap. Minute 40 is what these people are doing right now. These drivers are doing a whole big wiggle there from Iliano. The car does not like the final corner. You've got to be very, very careful. And look at this, even in the spray, we can't see Ridgeway behind. That is crazy.
No, that double spray of both cars is horrendous. You're not going to be able to see anything. It's just going to throw straight up in Iliano's face, and he's going to get both cops of it, and it's going to be tough for him there. Ridgeway's got to try and somehow, well, we talked about it a little bit earlier on in the GT3s. You either get right close and hope to nullify the spray so it's not so high. As you see with the spray, and we did touch on it a little bit, it goes up in an arch. Okay, it comes out the back of the car, it shoots up into the air, and then it settles. Now, obviously, if you're at the base as it's shooting down, like Ridgeway is, you see less and less and less. So he's got to make a choice, either get close or let it hit the road in front, because at the moment he is getting a full cop of that right in the boat race.
Yeah, and I think part of it too for Ridgeway is just kind of settling in. Ridgeway's car does not look like it's handling very well, but I do think part of it is Ridgeway is just wanting to settle and just watch what these two do, because the more they battle, the more they introduce him into the fray and mix things up. And as they see, it looks like there is traffic that they're coming up on in the mix here, and that is going to start mixing things up a bit. This is Jimenez, who is battling it out with, I believe that is Mackenzie Room there on the right-hand side, the number 51. And as they battle here, this is, of course, a pro and an am, but hey, it's still for track position and it's still for points. So expect them to battle as if they are racing for the lead.
Yeah, puddles starting to develop, standing water puddles. That's the problem. We've still got rain. We would have liked to see it kind of go rain to dry, but we're not quite hitting that. We're getting just rain, and I'm not objecting to it by any shape of the imagination. I think it's going to be very interesting. What did Rachel Jimenez just do going up? I don't think she had an incident. I think the software's just picked up that she might have been slow. and therefore thought she had an instant. Oh, she's got a little wiggle on actually, and then missed the corner entry. So that's how Mackenzie Brune got through. As gaps starting to appear a little bit more. Ridgway's coming onto the back of Barton. Barton's trying to get onto the back of Ilianu, and it looks like Barton's struggling a little bit here.
Yeah, nobody seems super comfortable in these cars on this track condition. Nobody has, other than Christian Glanksider, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Nobody has seemed to be super settled in. I've seen every driver have some sort of a wiggle in the braking. Everyone's locked up a tire at least once. Everyone's ran wide at least once. Nobody seems truly set and comfortable other than Christian Glanksider, which is no surprise to anyone who's familiar with the iFormula League. And again, looking at the schedule, it's round 8 of 12, so we've got 4 more rounds of this coming up across the next month. It's the Canadian Grand Prix on March 31st. April 7th will be Italy, Monza, personal favorite of mine, Japanese Grand Prix, and then the Dutch Grand Prix, where I would expect to hear the Dutch national anthem. If you don't already watch Formula One every weekend and you don't hear it enough, just go ahead and tune in for the season finale of F3 to watch one more Dutch domination go through. Lap 18 to 36, we're officially at the halfway point, James, and at this point the battles are there and everyone's kind of settling in. The sun's going away. I think we're getting ready to get a lot more damp of a track.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit dark, and you can see all of a sudden it's just kind of kicked in, which just basically means it's going to be rain, 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 and that's the thing. It's just going to happen. Jimenez loses a place to Adrian Colaseed, who's trying to come back through the grid. You can see the blue skies to the right-hand side now. That has just drifted off and has left everybody in a little bit of damp. Who has pit so far, and who still has to? Well, I can tell you, Jimenez Colaseed has, and that's it. So everybody from Colaseed upwards, so Rune, Serrano, Solano, Ridgway, Barton, Iliano, Barbaro, Rivera and Glamsia still have to pit there, dear sir. So that's the situation here. See there.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how late the drivers leave the pit stops, considering they can go 75% of the race on a fuel run. So I'm wondering just what they decide to do in terms of pit stops and how it messes with pit strategy. Of course, Rachel Jimenez in, and really, if you think about it, I don't know why you wouldn't leave it till closer to the end. I don't know why you wouldn't just let it run and go long, especially if you can get away with just doing a quick hit of fuel and go. I don't know why you would want to pit sooner.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't bother. Run it out as far as it can go, and for me, that's what I would do. I think that's the thing. That's probably why I don't do endurance races, to be honest. They're like, right, we need to save this amount of fuel. I'm like, nah, it goes to that. I'll just go, and you worry about the fuel. I'll just keep going, because I just run it out. Run it out as much as you can get. And if that's 29 laps, it's 29 laps. But it is what it is. You know, you deal with it after that, so just run it out and have done with it. And I think these guys should do the same. However, one lady who's not going to be happy is coming down into Slosh Gold onto the gravel. Don't spin it. Yeah. Just about got off the gravel there. So pit early to get away from spray and clean air, maybe, but there's nobody really mixing up in spray at the moment. That's the thing. Everybody's fairly spread out. You can see on the left-hand side, like Ridgway and Barton, and they're not really getting close to anybody. Glamsey has gotten 22 seconds. Rivera's got 9. Marian Barbaru has got 2 over Ilianu. Bartlin is behind 2.5 seconds back. And then Ridgway has got a whapping 26-second gap to Solano. So, yeah, maybe, but you're not really at the moment in a position, because if Ridgway pits, obviously he's going to lose a place to Barton and Serrano and Solano, who are not really close together either. So, I don't know. Hit or miss for me.
Yeah, it's very... Oh, there's a big snap from Ridgway. Saves it on the final corner. And again, those puddles at the bottom of the final corner are very dangerous. And if you think I'm lying, you should look up the real-life track in the rain, because even professional drivers spin at that final corner on the slick puddles going through there. But as we go through, I'm starting to see more people into the pits here, and we see Solano going very slow. Did something happen with Solano? Was it
that?
There we go.
The fact he keeps it off that gravel. Don't do it. Don't do it. Oh, it's like a Jaws moment. If anybody's seen the film Jaws, every time you go onto the gravel, it's like dun and dun and dun, and then it stops when you get off. Because it is, well, we did see it, didn't we, at Silverstone earlier on? It was just horrendous. The poor guy just got stuck and couldn't go anywhere. And then we've just seen it here as well with Ian Lance.
Yeah, it's very the gravel is not your friend, especially in the rain. So avoid at all costs here as we watch Victor Solano going through here into the uphill right-hander turn 2. Look at the water coming off now that we've gotten a bit more rain. And here's the fun thing. The sun is coming back out a little bit for me, James. It's starting to get a little bit sunny again. So we're going to continue to watch this track be very confusing and go back and forth the entire time. We're still running several seconds off the pace that we've ran when the track was at its most optimum that we've had today, which was just barely dry.
The problem is that the rain ain't stopping. So as wonderful as the sun above us looks, there's that cloud in the middle that looks absolutely horrendous. And I've got a funny feeling for these guys, they're going to have to deal with it. It still looks quite dark off the blimp. And it doesn't... Oh, Solano!
Oh! Get it. Oh, and into the wall.
Yeah, but he's...
That's it.
Oh, he went straight back. Oh, man, I thought he would have been able to run around the... Oh, puddle, aquaplane. See you later. I thought he might have been able to make it onto the concrete. Oh, no. Okay, he doesn't. Yeah, he didn't brake till quite late, did he? And unfortunately, he didn't make it anyway. So, yeah, for us, Mr. Alexander Show, we are all fairly spread out at the moment. I would run it to the end.
Yeah, there's no reason to not just send it. Let's talk about Christian Glameseater again for a second. 27-second gap. We're at the Red Bull ring, so I presume that car is fueled specifically by Red Bull as we go down through here. And look at our race leader coming down, who is about to lap the Red Bull liveried car there. And who is that? That's the number 64. So that is going to be Balcar.
It's weird, considering Christian did this on lap 1. And lost lots of different... Well, 1, 2, 3... 4, 5, 6. So he lost 6 positions, and now he's 27 seconds in front on lap 22. It's insane.
It doesn't make sense. By all accounts, it mathematically doesn't make sense to think lap 1... turn 3, you spin, you drop way back, and then you somehow battle out to have a 20-something second lead. Now, that lead is coming down slowly, but I think that's just to account for the car ahead. However, I am going to tell you and anticipate that gap will start to open right back up as soon as Christian Glameseater clears out from Mr. Matthias Balcar ahead, which I would say is going to come any time now.
Yeah, I think... Glameseater had a touch, and he got it all on lap 7. That was the thing. We first had Rivera, who made the mistake first. So that was Rivera hitting that puddle, aquaplaning off. You're never going to go anywhere. Then Mackenzie Roon. He was in front of Glameseater, and unfortunately for Mackenzie, he went and aquaplaned off through into turn 4 and did that, and around he went. Oh no, that was the second to last corner, wasn't it? And then Scott Barton, not long after that, who was also in front of Christian, did, well, there you go, you can see Mackenzie Rooney was literally 1 corner later, did that. There's Rivera, there's Roon, there's obviously Barton in the middle, and in the space of all that time, Glameseater's gone around and said, thanks very much, I'll have all them places back. And it was like, for him, it was like winning the lottery on lap 7. You know, he got the lottery, he got the tickets, and then all of a sudden, bang, Rivera goes, Barbaru goes, Barton goes. And it was like opening up, parting, wasn't it? It was like Moses and the Red Sea.
Yeah, Christian Glameseater, very, very happy. Of course, we had the joke at Silverstone to pray for a driver. And Christian Glameseater, I think, said a prayer there after turn 3 and said, please, please let me get this race back. And did. And from that point, you know, we talked about it earlier today, too, about drivers knowing their... Who was that spinning in the background? That, I believe, was Balcar spinning in the background, going off. And it goes into what I was about to say, James. We had this talk earlier about drivers knowing the limits of their car and the tires and the track surface and the grip that they get. We had the conversation about the drivers have to drive to their limits and not over. And honestly, other than that incident early on, Christian Glamsitter has been showing the best example of knowing where that limit is. As I say that, you can see, though, he is very on the edge. It's a knife's edge that he's on there as the car is sliding through the penultimate corner as we go down the main straight here. So Christian Glamsitter is finding everything that Christian Glamsitter can out of the grip of the tires, the track, the racing line, and everything that Super Formula will give him.
Yeah, he's trying to gain and get as much as he can, isn't he? That's the thing. He wants as much out of this car as he possibly can get. And for him, he's just opening up gaps. If he gets a pit lane 40 seconds, he's going to be in and out before anybody's even got in. So they're only going to have 5 more laps to go. 5 more laps, sorry, of fuel. We said it was 29 laps, didn't we? That Alex told us about. So they're not going to have much longer, and they've got to make the decision. Rune, Mitrovic and Clark, is this all together, or did you do something first? Because that's actually, I believe, that's the 77 in front of him. Well, it's 11 of Ilianu. No, Mackenzie Rune just goes very, very slowly. What about Patrick Mitrovic in that brightly coloured machine? I'm not going to lie, can't miss him in a hurry, can we?
I like it.
Yeah, I like it as well. I think that's the thing. If you're a team and you want to be spoken about on a broadcast, make your livery as bright as possible. Because for us, it's the first swing. As you can see the standing water on the racetrack there. It's just insane, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think part of that is on our side. Just a little behind the curtain, ladies and gentlemen. We have a software on our side that kind of helps us see what we need to look at. And I think the water is messing with a little bit of that because we're having moments where it's telling us something's happened to a driver. And then we check it and nothing's really happened. So, of course, the fun of week 13, the fun of a major update, we wait on a couple of things to happen here and there. But, yeah, James, looking at it, I mean, look at the puddles on the curbs going through. Especially that final corner. That final corner is dangerous, and it's not something that I would personally want to go through. You could probably, it'd be a good day to be a duck if that puddle's there. I'm not going to lie, but probably not a good day to be a race car driver.
Yeah, I remember I was watching a film that basically they went, oh, yeah, nice weather we're having. And the woman just turned around and went, if you were a duck. But that's what we expect, isn't it? You know, it's there. The system's there now. We've been waiting for like 15 years, you know, and
soon.
Yeah, soon. It's on its way. It's coming. It's in development, and now it's here. So people are going to make the most of it, and fair play. I'd want them to make the most of it. Get your skills in with rain driving. It isn't just hopping from one into the other and thinking, "Oh yeah, I'm an expert." You know, you've got to get your practice in.
You really do, and that's the thing is. Everything that iRacing has done with the Tempest software is so different from what any other simulator has done. Because the thing is, the Tempest software, you can have rain on a certain section of the track. The track will dry and wet differently. You can have sporadic rain. You can have sun with a little sprinkle. They've done so well to model this. It's not like you can just look and say, oh, well, I'm used to rain and ACC or R Factor 2 or AMS 2 or whatever simulator these guys run outside of iRacing. You have to truly practice in the sim because every simulator does rain different. And I'm going to be honest with you, I think iRacing has done the best job of getting it set up and getting things working. So if you're going to want to run rain and you want to be competitive, you've got to practice in the iRacing simulator because it's so different. Again, rain is the equalizer.
It's what separates the men from the boys. That's the problem, isn't it? And it's always tough in the rain, even when you're driving in real life like I was this morning. It was just absolutely horrendous. Puddles everywhere, and that's the thing. You know, they've got to get used to it. I am surprised on one thing, and that is them wets that we know should have deep cutting grooves in. I don't know if that's visual or if that's graphic setting somewhere, but they do not look like wet tyres to me. You would have thought they would have been a bit more groovy.
Yeah, for me on my side, I see very small minor grooves. And part of me thought that maybe the tires had just worn out across this race because we are 10 to go now. And I thought maybe just the tires have worn flat. Worn flat. But they haven't. They're still I don't understand. Maybe that's something that just needs to be patched up and worked on a little bit, but the tires look very off to what I was expecting, and maybe it is just a graphical thing on my side. Our race leader's in the pits, James.
Yeah, Glamsy is in, but you'd be surprised that he would just come straight back out in front, I would have thought. There's no real reason for him. Barton's coming round into turn 9, into Rin, and he's not going to make it through as Glamsy goes out. Retakes the lead. So there we go. Christian in and out. Jobs are good on.
Yep, just a quick splash of fuel. I don't even think he changed tires. I think he went in, got enough fuel to get going, and then came right back out. And that is going to be the Red Bull ahead. That,
Balcar.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Balcar.
Yeah, Balcar.
Just move
and
over.
Balcar's just going to let it go.
Well, we should do. I'm not entirely sure why we're insisting on being involved in a fight that has... There we go. I'm hoping that was a move and you are actually going to let him take your race in line. He did. Yeah, so there you go. When people say to me, James, your opinion on blue flags is wrong, I then sit back and say, have you just watched what we watched? Because for me, there was no need to run Christian deep down into the corner. I think that's the thing. Maybe I need to write blue flags. I think I should be the FIA blue flag rule announcer.
I don't know that you want to be involved in the FIA right now. I don't know if you've seen the headlines over the past few weeks, but I personally don't want to be within a 6-hour flight of the FIA right now with the mess that is going on in Formula racing in general. But probably shouldn't talk about that because I would like to not get called into a steward's room later as we watch here. But on track, 33-second lead for Christian Glamsy here because Rivera pit as well, I believe, unless I'm mixing up my driver names, which is always completely possible.
They've all pitted. They've been in and out, and all of them have pitted. So nobody has run it. They've run it as late as they possibly can on lap 28, and everybody's jumped in between 22, 23, 26, 25. So yeah, great job from all of them guys. And it's Glamsy, Rivera, Barton, and Barbaru, all still in 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, so I guess Barton is the one that just pit, because I knew someone pit right behind Glamsy. You could see by the last lap difference, it was like a 25-second difference. So Barton pitting in, Rivera's up into P2 now, and Iliano putting in a good lap. Iliano, there we go. Let's not add extra letters that aren't there. Iliano putting in a good lap time, and the sun is back out, James, with 8 laps to go here. Do we think we're going to start seeing a line dry? I see a little bit of a line there, especially through turn 2, but do we think we're going to start seeing this track dry out near the end? Or is it just going to be relaxed here and nothing crazy is going to happen? The drivers stay out on wet tires to the end? What's going to happen here, James? Go ahead. Let's hear your predictions.
If you've just pitted now, you are going to rule if you've stayed on dry, if you stayed on wets. Partly due to the fact that they've still got 7 laps. I'm not saying it's long enough for a line. I'm saying by the looks of it and how much the temperature and the weather has changed. It's 65 degrees outside at track 65 as well. We'll keep an eye on the track temperature because as soon as it starts creeping up, that's when you will look at the dry line developing, right? Hot heat evaporates water, the tires push it to the side, which then obviously opens up the line, then the sun beams down, dries the line out, and hey presto, we got a driver's line. And if you didn't realize that, well, there you go. I've made you learn something new every single day. But I think they've got to now just keep an eye on the temps, keep an eye on what is happening around them with their tires, and see whether or not they get a drier line quick enough.
Yeah, JP Broadcasting, both entertaining and educational. And Scott Barton has dropped somewhere. Is that an internet dropout or just a dropout? Because now Scott Barton is nowhere to be seen on my side.
Oh, again? No, I think it's gone.
Oh, that is the worst. That is the worst. It's the unfortunate reality of sim racing, but it's still the most frustrating thing that could happen. And I do think that is Scott Barton done for this race.
Yeah, not the first time, mind you. That's not the first time at all that something's happened to Scott, unfortunately. I'll keep an eye on the driver's chart and we'll see. But yeah, Scott Barton just goes and plummets down the order now. That's going to release Ridgway to have a go at Barbaru. We'll see how that one pans out. Track temperature still 65, not really making a big improvement on the heat side of things, which is what I thought might have happened, but definitely not. So I think we could be wet to the end.
Yeah, I think it's gonna dry out a little, but with 6 to go, I don't think it's gonna be significant enough to see anyone try to make a switch over onto a dry compound tire, try to do anything crazy. There should, somebody spun in the background there, but there should be enough, I would think, dampness on the track that even if they need to hunt a little bit to cool down the tires, they can. Iliano, bad day for Iliano.
And unfortunately, this is why. There'll be a puddle there, and they're just going to go sploshing through it, hit the curb, and around he goes. So for Iliano, not good.
Yeah, playing in the puddle like a toddler on a rainy Tuesday as we go through. But Iliano, big gap there. Again, I'm shocked at how big the gaps are, but something's happened to Rivera because Rivera is showing stopped on my side in turn 3. Here should be around the side as we go through. And there it is. What happened to Rivera? Locked up the inside wheel on the downhill.
Run. No, go, no. Oh, if you make it off, you lucky boy. Lucky boy. And it looks like Mackenzie Roon has had a ta-ta-ta here all on his own. Unfortunately for him, it's coming out. Is it powered up? Yeah.
Yep. And a 180. I mean, good burnouts, but we need to save those for the end of the race.
Oh,
Coliseed. Oh, back on the track. But, you know, the bad thing is, even if you get back on the track from the gravels, you've still got gravel all over your tire, and it's going to take you a minute to wear that back off and get that tire back to a grippy setup.
Yeah, it's not going to be instant, is it? You know, you see every now and then where you just go drive for a little bit and you used to just wipe off your gravel. I think it's going to take a little bit of a time, but I don't know how long in the rain it would take to get your gravel off, to be honest. But Barbaru, Rivera, and possibly Ridgway might round this out, I think.
Yeah, we're watching here. It is Ridgway who is within about half a second of Rivera, trying to get the pass done and move forward. It's Barbaru just ahead as well, I believe, if I'm looking right, which I think I am. So we'll watch here with Rivera, who is trying to hold on. You can see that the track's starting to change. You know, again, iRacing have done such a good job modeling this, and it's so unique to watch the track change every lap. So every time these guys come around a corner, it's a slightly different setup to what they were doing before. But Rivera here doing well to hold on to P3 and continue to battle. Ridgway's in the mix, and of course Barbaru just ahead in the mix, but 45 seconds ahead. Again, it's Christian Glamsitter, 3/4 of a lap around. I mean, I don't know what you do to respond to a 45-second lead.
Nothing. Yes, I'm going to presume he did on that one, Alex. I'm going to presume he did take tyres because he's the same pit lane time as everybody else, around about 7.8. So, yeah, Christian's not stupid. He's not going to waste his lead by doing something silly, not taking tyres. But, yeah, I believe he did.
I hope he did, at least, because if he didn't, then he's DQ'd, which would be a 45-second lead given up because you just forgot to swap tires. That would be a little painful, I'm not going to lie. It's not not something I would think Christian Glamsitter would do with the dominating season Christian Glamsitter's had. But you never know. Alex Rivera here. We're watching with Barbaru, who is trying to go through. And did we get Scott Barton back?
Yes. 1.5 laps down. So he is back, but 1.5 seconds back. So, yeah.
I hate that for him. Barbaru here, still defending P2, half a second back to Rivera. But I mean, just kind of just running through. You can see these guys are just trying to keep it relaxed. We're 3 to go here when they cross the line, and they are just trying to hunt the grip, keep the tires cool, and just make the run to the end.
That's all they can do. I think this late on, even if you were to get a line, I don't think Glamsitter would be under much danger of getting overtaken anyway. He's too far ahead. I don't think the drop-off is going to be that rapid. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to be dropping off that badly. He's going to get caught. Just had one of you guys question if he did or not when he pitted. Would be a shame. That was probably me brain fart on the rulebook. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that happens. So
quite a lot. It happens to all of us. That's what I mean. Like, quite a lot of happens to all of us, doesn't it?
Yeah, that is true. And what? I still need to know what Christian Glamsitter is doing to have such a pace advantage. I mean, I don't get it.
What don't you get?
How? Just how? Like, we'll get to interview him in a couple laps' time. I'm going to ask him how. How did you pull out a 46-second gap?
After being involved in an accident on lap 1.
Yeah, exactly. Because for me, the accident on lap 1, I would probably disconnect my Moses steering wheel and throw it around somewhere and call it a day. But, hey, for Christian Glamsitter, he wins by almost a minute.
Yeah. Barbaru's pushing here. The trouble is Rivera's got Barbaru's number and he's pushing with him. And the problem is the more he pushes Barbaru, the more it looks like Barbaru is going to make a mistake. And he's going to have to try and get that back because I can chill out, keep it off the curb, keep it out of the puddle. Tell you what, Barbaru is going to be going to struggle with this one, keeping this boy behind him, I think.
Really is. Gap just 0.2 of a second as we run down the main straight. He's going to break to the line, moves over to defend. Clean defense move. He's going to peek a little bit there, trying to break the spray. And as we run down the straight towards turn 2, at this moment, it's Barbaru on Rivera. Barbaru trying to hold on to the defense, but look at this. Rivera's going to try to peek it around, gets a nose through, and has the inside here on this slight left hook, and is going to have the preferred line. Rivera up into P2, Barbaru into P3, but has the inside here for the hairpin right-hander of turn 2. As we get going here, it is Rivera and Barbaru. This battle is going to go all the way to the end, James. And at the moment, it is Rivera who has gotten ahead of Barbaru here with just 2 laps to go and is going to need to pull out a lead quick.
Yeah, I think Rivera's got the pace. Don't get me wrong, he's not 48-second pace as we go on to lap 35. We've got one more to go here. But I think he has got the... Rivera's definitely got the pace if he hadn't made some silly mistakes. Adrian Galaseed as well, he's just having an horrendous time here, unfortunately. Round turn 8. Spin, baby, spin as he comes into the final corner. Puddle, front end, back end, adios. Unfortunately for Adrian Galaseed there. And now he's landed himself in another puddle, which he just fights about to get off, then had to wait. So there we go. But Glamsitter in the lead on his way down to turn 4 before he takes the white flag.
Yeah, running down here into the inside, and it's just been smooth sailing. Now the gap 50 seconds. I think he is going for the 60-second challenge here, and that is a lead by 60 seconds. Rivera has opened up the gap on Barbaru there in P2. So at the moment, the top 3 pretty settled here. I think Barbaru's going to try to have a run. Lap times are coming down, though. The 135s now starting to show themselves with Ridgway and Alano, and just everyone seems very smooth and relaxed. Christian Glamsitter last lap, fastest lap of the session with a 1:34, so the track is drying out slowly, even though there is still a bit of spray coming out. There is a little bit of a dry line starting to form there, but it's not going to form fast enough to see anyone try to make any sort of impressive moves on slicks, because as we come around here on the final corner, as the P2 and P3 are 3/4 of a lap back, 2/3 of a lap back, if you will, and we hit the white flag here with Christian Glamsitter, who is doing a Herculean Verstappen-esque effort here at the Red Bull Ring and is just winning in a dominating fashion today, as long as he makes it around the final lap.
Love what you said there. As Cinco and Clark are running side by side. Clark's on the right, Cinco's on the left. He has gone and made that through. Clark's not giving up. Coming around the final corner, and are they going to touch? They're not, and it looks like Clark's managed to hold it. But your leader is coming on the run down into turn 4.
Run down here into turn 4/3. Again, it depends on where you define turn 2. But as we go through, Christian Glamsitter, I mean, what can you say? Recovery drive of all recovery drives is what you have to call this, as he goes in the gravel as I open my mouth. Commentator's curse is real here.
Yeah, make sure you don't do that on the last lap. That's dangerous. You don't want to go chuff your race up because you've gone and decided that enough was enough and you've gone and not concentrated. So for him, I think he's just got to keep it on the race circuit and see how he gets on.
Yeah, it's just a matter of 2 corners, and then he comes around and he can relax for a bit until we talk to him and I find out what he illegally did to this car, as we have the downhill braking zone here in the final corner, avoid the puddles on the outside, and Christian Glamsitter will bring it around to win round 8 of this iFormula League here at the Red Bull Ring. The victory wiggles go through. Barney has the checkered flag, and ladies and gentlemen, that is how you dominate and you set your foot down on the season. The points leader opens up his points lead further. Matthias Balkar is off in the gravel somewhere in the background, but as we go through, hold on to it. There's a big bit of action starting to hit near the end. Ilano is there going through. Cinco's around in the mix. Here we go. Who could come out of this mix, James?
Yeah, no idea, to be blatantly honest with you. I know Balkar's in there. Mitrovic has just gone past. Balkar's going to go round. Mitrovic.
Another car. Oh.
What the duty went on there?
What the days was that?
So Mitrovic is in front. Cinco's on the Red Bull. Mitrovic goes round. Cinco goes round. Then somebody else goes round. So that's Balkar, Cinco. Was that Jack Clark who joined in? Just decided to pirouette with him. Yes. So Mitrovic, Cinco, Balkar and Clark on the final corner of the final lap decided that they didn't need points and they gave them to Scott Barton. So there we go. Good job.
Yeah, and you know, maybe this is something we just have to remind the drivers. You have to cross the start-finish line for the race to be over. I know everyone likes to do the victory donuts post-race, but you have to cross the start-finish line for it to be post-race. So, but that is a way to end this Austrian GP here at the Red Bull Ring, round 8 of the iFormula League Season 7 here in the F3 Series. And Christian Glamsitter, there was no challenging him. He spins it turn 3 lap 1 and then runs it through to the end. There, no limit sim racing. He doesn't know the limits. Wins it there in first place. Alexander Rivera in second. Marion Barbaru in third place. Robert Ridgway in P4. And then Ilano in fifth. Mackenzie Roon in the Intense Sim Racing brings it home in sixth. Anthony Serrano is the winner of your AM class there. In P7, the last car on the lead lap and only just on the lead lap. Adrian Colasid in 8th place. Rachel Jimenez in 9th. Scott Barton in 10th. Patrick Mitrovic in P11. Alexander Cinco in P12. Matthias Balkar in 13th. Jack Clark in 14th. And Alex Hinchcliffe in P15 there. And then from there, it was Nick Marshall, Victor Solano, and Ian Lance rounding out your 18-car field.
Yep. There we go. And now we've got Alexander Rivera for you there, Brad, as we bring him into the booth.
Alexander Rivera in second place. At one point, I thought you may have had a win going because there was a moment, and then out of nowhere, it ended up with a 50-second lead. But hey, second place is a good run here. Tell me how you feel about a wet Red Bull ring.
Man, that was a tricky race. I'll admit I did a lot better than I thought I was gonna do. This is, I think, my only second session running in the rain, so I was expecting to run at the back. So I'll take P2. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, Alex, kind of tell me about going into this race. Just the conditions seem to keep changing from lap to lap. There'd be a little bit of rain, some sun, clouds, sun, rain. What in the car did it feel like as you went? Did it keep changing the feel of the car, or were you able to stay pretty consistent throughout?
A little bit. I mean, I'm sure you guys caught me a couple times. I had a few spins in there, a couple lockups, and went into the gravel a few times. So it definitely was changing lap to lap. Especially when it was dry, you could feel that you had or drying, I should say. It definitely could feel like you were getting a lot more grip, could push the speed into the corners a little bit faster. And then it would just start pouring again, and you'd be like, "Oh crap! I have to recalibrate." So yeah, almost every lap was just a little different.
Yeah, and Alex, looking at the difference, of course, the first 2/3 of the season done in the F3 cars, and then we switched to the Super Formula Lights. Which car do you prefer, and what are the big differences between the cars and how you drive them?
That's a little interesting. To be honest, this is only my second time actually driving the Super Formula, and both times I've been in the wet, so it's a little bit different. But it feels like this car is so much more planned on throttle. Like you can get on throttle so much earlier, and the back end's going to remain compliant. Whereas in the old F3 cars, I feel like they were a little bit more slidey. Like you get on power and you could slide them around the corners a little bit. So it's definitely a little bit of a different driving style. I feel like I'm driving this car into the corner a little bit with the knowledge that I can get on throttle a little bit earlier. And that's, I mean, these cars have more downforce, so that's kind of to be expected anyways.
Yeah, and of course, Alex, good race in P2. Anyone you want to thank, anyone you want to shout out, I will give you the floor for just 30 seconds of your time.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Well, thank you guys. I know this is going to be a very entertaining broadcast to watch back, and shout out to the Loomis and Knox guys. So, thanks.
Awesome, and thank you, Alex. Congrats on that P2. All right, James, let's pull in Marion Barber here, and let's talk to our P3 driver who had a good battle there with Alex going through and with Robert Ridgway for a bit. Marion, tell me about your race, and tell me how you feel bringing home P3.
Hey guys, I feel honestly relieved after this race because I just wanted to bring the car home. I had a quite good start, but the pace wasn't really there. I practiced a bit, but not that much in wet conditions, obviously. So some of the guys were flying, and I just tried to keep it, just do consistent laps. But it's difficult because sometimes lap after lap, even lap after lap, the grip levels can change. And you want to push it a bit more, but you don't know exactly where the limit is. So yeah, I had a nice, fun little battle with Alex, but he was obviously quicker. I just realized at the end of the race that I have to brake less everywhere, and I was trying to gain some time, but it was way too late then. But it was so much fun.
Yeah, and Marion, kind of tell me about your experience with rain and iRacing. Have you practiced for this sort of conditions, or not? What have you done to get ready for a race like this?
Yeah, we actually practiced. We did last night a session with the team, with Mackenzie and Adrian, and we did some laps in the rain. But obviously, it's new for all of us, so we just tried different lines. We also tried different setups, different brake bias setting. But it's hard to say that it was really, really helpful. Of course, it helped, but we still don't have that much experience. So I think now the guys that will get it very quickly will have a huge advantage. Look at Christian. Like, he won with a 35-second lead, which is huge. Considering he had a moment as well in the beginning of the race and he recovered. Like, the pace difference was crazy, 3 seconds or maybe more.
Yeah, do you know where that pace difference came from? Because that's what I'm kind of wanting to know. I want to know what he did that made that pace difference so different. We're not going to get to interview him, so do you have any insight for us?
What I found to the end of my race was that if I was braking less meaning instead of 25% braking, just brake like 5-10% and just shoot the car into the corner and then do the downshifts. I was gaining on entry every time. So what I think, and this is again just an assumption at this point, is that Christian was braking a lot less than all of us everywhere. So he was rolling more speed into the corner, but at the same time, his lines were probably better as well because he wasn't struggling with more speed into the corner. This is my assumption, but quite impressive what he did. And not only him, also Mackenzie was very quick at the end of the race. I heard the spotter saying that Mackenzie set the fastest lap, and then Christian, and so on. So yeah, we'll see. But definitely, I will have to practice a bit more in the wet. I didn't feel so comfortable today, and unless other people would have spawned in front of me, I think probably like P5 would have been P6, something like that would be the expected position. But in the rain, everything can happen, and that's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Rain is the big equalizer. Marion, last thing for you. Anyone you want to thank, anyone you want to shout out, the floor is yours.
Yeah, well, Intent Get Good, and also Gianluca. It's his first race today in Super Formula Lights. We raced him in the other league. I mean, the other part of the league with Super Formula 23, and today was his first race, and he did amazing. He was there P5, P4, chasing the podium, and I think he had a very good race. And I'm looking forward to see him more in this car.
Awesome. Well, Marianne, thank you for your time. Congrats on the P3, my friend, and we will see you next week in Canada.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And James, I tell you what, I don't think we're going to get our race winner, and I don't look like... Yeah. We'll see if he answers me later in chat and tells me what Red Bull he powered his car with to go through here at the Red Bull wing. But any final thoughts, James?
Rain is bringing a different dimension to the racing, and I think if I see that later on in the broadcast we've got later, it's going to be very, very interesting. So yeah, let's see how it goes.
Yeah, here in a couple hours on the JP Broadcasting Network, it is the IGP kicking off their season. And of course, it'll be myself and James joining along for that. And then again, potentially later, we're waiting on final confirmation. Triple Bypass will be running a race this evening. So make sure you stick around. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bells, do all the fun things that you could do for free to support us here at JP Broadcasting Network. But on behalf of James, who's been behind the cameras and helping me out with this amazing race, my name is Bradley, and that was the iFormula Season 7 here in F3 at the Red Bull Wing, and we will see you later today.